Hi guys to everyone, I'm Ada from Poison Rock, and today I have really an honor to have with us Joel from SOEN. First of all, I want to ask you, how are you? The easiest question.
Great. I'm great. Thank you.
It's really good to know. Before talking about SOEN and the last album and all the amazing journey that the band did, I want to just about you, Joel. I mean, how do you get in touch with music and you find out that's your passion? So your personal journey to music. So to know you a little bit better as well.
Yeah. It's I guess it started my journey just started with my dad playing vinyls all the time, like progressive stuff. He was like a prog rock fan. So we always had Genesis, Yes, Jethro Tull, King Crimson. All that stuff. It was just there all the time. Then so music has always been super important, and my father was a guitarist. Not a famous guy, but he was playing all the time. And then I think it took a while. It took a while before I started realizing I was going to be a singer. Maybe until 14, 15, something like that. Before that, I didn't really,
like aware of.
I didn't really know. Yeah. It was kind of. I think maybe somewhere I knew I had the voice, but I didn't know how to express it because. Playing. There was when I was a kid, it was like. You were not. If you were going to choir, for example, you were a nerdy guy. All that shit. Which I don't believe at all,
Yeah, exactly. It's just, let's say, a social things about this nerdy description, let's say.
Exactly. My advice to all the young kids, like, go to choir, go to church and sing, because that's fun. It's fantastic, and that's where the real singers are born. I'm so sad that I didn't do that when I was a younger kid. But yeah, then I started with bands, and of course, from the moment I started playing in bands with friends, I started loving it. Immediately, and then that was the only thing I wanted to do for. So I was really, really, really bad in school because I didn't I didn't believe I had to do any homework because I was going to be a rock star. Very immature.
Let's say study is important. Let's say the school is important for anyone, but if you have a passion like you had, it's a good sign to pursue it.
Yeah. I mean, I should have done both. I should have done both, but yeah, that's how it is sometimes. And then it started with I was a huge fan of Alice Cooper when I was a kid. That was my own inspiration. So that's how I started loving music, except my dad's prog stuff. And then the grunge era came. I loved Alice in Chains. I loved it, and I still love it.
I want to say thanks for saying that the grunge wasn't only the ruin of metal, but as well contributed in some kind of way. Thanks for saying.
Yeah, but to me, I wasn't aware of it when it was Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Soundgarden, Alice in Chains, right? The four. But to me, it was always Soundgarden and Alice in Chains. So I was always a bit more into the
scene,
And they were actually playing metal. Like grungy metal, so that kind of sound always resonated with me. Pearl Jam's first album though is fantastic. It's great.
So basically, you're already answering to my question, which are your influences. So
yeah. Okay, so I'm. But then so it's a long story, but that's how it started. Yeah.
And the first approach you had with some band. I mean, like, of course, SOEN started around 2010, but before that, like, what was the first approach you had, with the small band, not just to speak about the big, but just, like, I don't know, let's say the garage band, you go to the rehearsal with friends, the teenage period. How was that back then for you?
Yeah, but it was exactly like that. You started in, like, when I was starting in bands, there was only the rehearsal space, the room you went to with your guys and you played. There wasn't so much recording, and there wasn't no like studio stuff. I started in a band that was doing mostly 60s stuff, The Who and stuff like that. So we were like retro style rock,
Yeah.
That was fun. But the first like 10 years, I didn't hear a word of what I was singing. I was just standing in a rehearsal room, shouting in a microphone with huge feedback and noise.
Yeah.
And could barely hear myself at all.
How was the first time you heard yourself? I mean, how was your reaction?
I mean, the first time I really heard myself in that kind of it's because the funny thing is, you start the first years I started like making all the all my singing expressions in the rehearsal space, and then I went to the studio, and then I was shouting in the mic the same way I was shouting in the rehearsal space, and I was surprised that it didn't sound very awesome, it was like I was just shouting in the mic, and it sounded very
grunge.
The output didn't come out as I was expecting it. The first time I heard myself while making the vocal lines was like much later. When we started with SOEN or something like that, when we started writing more.
You didn't need to shout at the microphone.
Yeah, I started realizing, that shouting in the microphone doesn't really solve. That doesn't necessarily make the vocals stand out.
Since we were still speaking about you before speaking about SOEN, you talk about a lot of your influences. But if we would have to pick some singer or singers that could inspire you, would it be?
Yeah. Well, Lane Staley, of course, Alice in Chains. And then I have to say, Jeff Buckley had a huge influence on me. Tom York in Radiohead, just to mention someone that is a bit. Yeah. Freddie Mercury, like he's unhuman, in his expressions.
It's not a human; it's an angel or something coming from another world, an extraterrestrial.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then
it's almost hard to be inspired by him because he's so unique in his expressions. So you know what I mean. Like
he covers everything, but at the same time, there's nothing like him. He can do everything, but no one can fit him. That's something that it's one of a kind in all the history of music. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, just moving back to SOEN. So SOEN is considered a supergroup. So how did it started? Because it's such a really huge group. I mean, in fact, called supergroup. So how did it started? How all of you end up together?
Yeah, and let me just do like a comment on that. Like the supergroup thing was. I don't think that we ever thought of ourselves as a supergroup.
Yeah.
Because the thing was like Martin and I, we started the band, and then Steve DiGiorgio came in, and since Martin played in Opeth and Steve had played in all bands, Death, then the label thought, okay, let's label this as a supergroup because there's very, very, experienced musicians. But to us, it was just a band, a great band. And I think the supergroup thing made people, it was probably, people got curious, but also a little bit suspicious, because supergroups, they tend to be like projects.
Yeah,
they start like one.
That's true. Then, a couple of albums and that's it. Yeah, that's true. Not like tons of album, like a long journey of album like you did.
Exactly. And for us, it was just, we knew instantly that this was going to be like for the long term. So in a way we had to
deal.
It took a few albums before people realized that SOEN was not just like a project thing, that that it was for the long term. So nowadays I don't think the supergroup thing is much doesn't apply to us that much.
Okay.
And
today,
because
it's a band.
Now we've been around for 20 years, and
it's a lot. I mean,
I think SOEN is. I think I talked to Martin about that. We talked, and I think this year or last year, or I don't know, but he has. All of us has played in SOEN more than we have played in other bands before.
So it basically became the family.
And this has basically became the major parts of our lives. The main thing that we have done, and music-wise.
You think that as well can be heard in all your sound from your albums, from Cognitive to the last one, Memorial? You can hear this evolution as well, like, more, I don't want to say like let's say like kind of chemistry and growing up all together, like, because we never stopped growing up, of course.
You're right, because like in the beginning, I think people wanted to reference our music to other music, which is totally natural.
Yeah, right? It's natural.
You say, new band, it sounds like this, it sounds like that. But then after a few albums, I guess something started to show that people started to sort of feel that, okay, this is sort of a SOEN sound. This is something that goes through the album.
And which point do you think that is it? I mean, in which kind of album or period?
I think it took like 3 or 4 albums before people started realizing it. So maybe on Lotus or something. It was very clear that people started talking about the SOEN sound. And it's for us too, people say, oh, this sounds like SOEN, and then maybe it does. It's not something that we planned, we were not sitting down and okay, let's do this is going to be the SOEN sound. No, it was just something that was
natural, that developed.
Our music.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, you said SOEN sound, so it comes naturally to me asking you, for you, so kind of subjective, let's say, for the people, what is for you the SOEN sound?
Yeah, I just have to look back and see, okay, what is it? I guess there is something. If you ask me, what would it be? Maybe the dynamics of the music, that you have emotional parts, you have hard parts. It's, almost all our songs has this balance, this dynamics. I think we are quite sincere with our music. We are we write about.
Yeah, that you can feel the deepness of the lyrics.
Yeah, and it's most of the lyrics comes from personal experiences and things that is happening around us in reality. Which is maybe not so common in metal nowadays, because usually it's fantasy stories and
you need that as well sometimes to distract yourself.
It's great.
It's like a movie. You need sometimes. But sometimes you need to listen music, and maybe you can identify yourself in that song because it's something that you're as well going through.
It's especially if you're in a festival somewhere, I love, if I'm in a metal festival, I like to go to like Ailstorm or, like a band, just a fantasy band that is having fun.
Yeah,
great.
Exactly. Exactly.
I like it, but it's not going to happen with SOEN. SOEN is not about that. SOEN sound is more about sincerity.
So it's, I mean, this is what we can say it's the as well main topic and message that the band wants to send to the world, to the fans, is about like, say, for example, the topic you deal with in the album, speaking of course lyric wise.
Yeah, I think we can stand up for ourselves and just be, a little bit true, and
yeah, that's beautiful.
Which can be hard sometimes, because when you are like that, you stand out as a bit pretentious, maybe. But I don't care,
you bet on yourself, basically.
I think it's the brave thing to do, to stand up for yourself and not being ironic or sarcastic, or just tell the truth.
That's people that will appreciate and love you more for that. There will people that will criticize you for that. That's all in each area of your life. So why not? Even if you try to be perfect, you will be criticized. So why not be ourselves, with all the flaws and with the pros and the cons.
That's right. That's right.
So
exactly.
Correct me if I'm wrong. So we could say that SOEN has a lot of integrity in it. So if all your messages speak your own truth in the band, all your songs, all your lyrics.
Exactly. And if the moment you start to be afraid of being criticized, or afraid of failure, and afraid of then you start to create bad music. I would say that is not going to be interesting anymore. So when we make music, it's not about what people will like or how people will expect it. We just do it, and then we hope that people are along the ride. They join us.
Of course, we kind of, like I said, we just kind of talk a little briefly about all, we can say, like, this journey of the albums you released, but we would like to really make like a quick journey, but this time more to the technical sound, to the genre, from cognitive to Imperial, for example, because I want to focus more about Atlantis and the last one. Well, how we could describe this journey, like, briefly, speaking about like really in the composition of the albums, technically the sounds, how would it change? How does it change?
You mean okay, like cognitive to Imperial?
The journey. Cognitive to like this journey. Yeah.
I would, if you just put it very, very, very like shortly, I would say that we have probably turned a little bit from an inward-looking band on Cognitive to an outward-looking band on Imperial.
That's beautiful.
And it has been a linear progress ever since.
Perfectly. You said perfectly. Like one quote perfectly, like which adjective you would give, you find it. And yes, of course, because 1 year ago you released Atlantis. So just going to look a little bit deeper into Atlantis. What is about Atlantis, and what does make, for example, Atlantis different from the other album?
I mean, the obvious difference is that it's a live album, and it's songs that we already made.
Okay.
So it's our first live album, I would say, and then the why did we do it? It's we made it because there was a pandemic, and during the pandemic we were not able to tour. Remember? I mean,
well, unfortunately, they're speaking about again something, and I don't want to hear the news.
No, we shouldn't. Exactly. Don't mention the pandemic, because
no. Let's stay positive.
But but we had a lot of time on our hands, and so we were able to realize one dream that we all had, and that was to rearrange the songs, to give them a different shape, a different costume.
Okay.
Like when I grew up, I loved MTV Unplugged.
I
loved it.
Yeah, that That MTV Unplugged was amazing. I still remember that one with Nirvana and Meat Puppets. It was amazing.
Amazing. It was so I mean, that's a dream that and all of us have the same dream, you know, to make that kind of stuff. So so for once we have time to do it. And so Atlantis is our Unplugged.
That's beautiful.
It's just that we had
it's basically, it's like I said, it's the first live album you did. And of course, I mean, now on the 1st of September has been released Memorial. So this album has been really been welcomed by the public, the press. They are talking amazing, but I want to talk about you, because as well I'm hearing amazing things about the artwork. So let's talk about before the technical, always part of the album. So how was the composition, the mastering, the working? How did you came? If you had a concept for it, or it was just like personal themes? So it's not the concept. So just leave the words for Memorial.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a concept, but it's still, you know, we are an album band. So you make all the songs, and you want them to fit together into an album, not necessarily into like a concept for an album, but you know, still
like with
it's a lot. The songs need to fit together, you know, that they have to, because that's how I want it to be. That's how we want it to be. You know, like that. You know, because many other bands nowadays, they release one song at a time, like one, you know, just singles.
Yeah, I'm noticing that, especially some new bands not doing any more album, just one song and then another song, and maybe in a year just an EP. But yeah,
exactly.
Is all.
But you know, I think I'm a bit old school there, or nostalgic, and I think all of, you know, we want to stick to that, and you want that vinyl, you know, with all the songs, and you want to the album cover, and you want it to be like a whole unit. Otherwise, it's not really.
You can.
No, it's not the same.
Feel it. Have it in your hand. Have it in your hand. Put it on. I don't know, the vinyl record, the disc something. I don't know, the compact disc reader. I don't know which type of format the bands print, but it's. I feel you with that a lot. It's beautiful having the music, you know, like on your device, on the laptop. But come on, it's not the same that putting in the vinyl.
It's not the same. It's not the same. And then of course, if you're like out traveling and you can put on any song in the world, it's fantastic too. But still, you know, you want the album to be there.
Yeah.
And then you know, the whole process of it was, you know, it's always a hard process when someone makes an album. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, of course.
But it's, I mean, what can I say? You know, Martin and I live quite close to each other. Martin has a bunch of ideas. He comes over to my place. We do some vocals, and then, you know, and it turns out to music eventually. All the guys chip in with all their, you know, Cody's solos. Lars is like this huge musician, you know, extremely what to say, particularly. He has a huge knowledge in music, so we all like chip in, and then, you know, we produced the whole album in Fascination Street in Sweden. We were supposed to do it in America, but you know, for we changed our minds in the last minute.
And there is some song.
What can I say?
Yeah, you're sorry, saying?
No, ask me.
Yes, that in all the songs, that not the album's lyrics songs, there is some song that you think that, for example, let's say that someone wants to listen to the new album, say, okay, I'm gonna start with that song. I mean, that personally for you has a special meaning, or maybe you want to advise to people to start maybe from that. Even if you should start from the first, but let's make an exception.
Can you say it again? Because
there's a
fucking train behind me.
It's okay. I'll say that if in Memorial you think there is one song or two that has special meanings for you, maybe because you like the way you sang in it or the meaning of it, or if there is another one that maybe you can advise to the fans that wants to listen to the album, maybe start from that song. If we know the best things would be for the first, but let's make an exception for this time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's so hard, because then I have to choose the songs, and it's like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I have to choose. Like, who's your favorite kid?
Like, you know what? So let's say one song for the fan to start with.
For the fans to start with.
Yeah. Let's make it easier.
Now, just because this is Italian, right? Listen to Hollowed, for God. It's Elisa. It's a beautiful, and I would say to all the metal people in Italy, don't be snobs now. Elisa is fucking great.
Yeah, we know.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I think many of us know she's loved here a lot. Yeah.
Exactly. And but sometimes you hear like, she's pop music.
Yeah, but they don't understand that. Even the most pop musician in the world can have, that beautiful voice that you can put it with you don't know if it's just, like a project together. Let's put I don't know, Christina Aguilera and some death metal, but I don't know, can have amazing voices.
Correct. And there's good music and there's bad music. That's only the thing. Not like good and bad genres. And it goes the same with talents. There's talents and no talents, and Elisa is fantastic.
She's amazing.
That's just period.
Since I was a teenager, I remember her voice. We saw their voice all the time in the festival we have here in Italy, or in the TV shows, in the Italian movies. She's one of the biggest we have in Italy.
You should be proud.
Yeah, we are. I mean, I am. I mean, I remember most of her songs. I am. I mean, I think people as well in Italy, they are. But of course, if we're speaking about metal, of course, people will say, well, she's not metalhead, it's not metalhead, and then we'll go straight for a metal, for example, female singer, musician, for example.
Yeah, I see that.
But of course, you did a great thing, because let's break the boundaries. It's the best time. And of course, I mean, just moving to the live part. You are planning to do some tour right now, or something to promote the album? What's going on right now?
It's just 1 week away.
Okay.
We're going 20th of September. We start in Denmark. Unfortunately, only one date in Italy. It's in Bologna.
Really?
I was really that we could do more. We will see, but there's gonna be more dates in Italy.
And how long is it gonna last? I mean, it will cover from the 20th until around the
23rd.
Okay, yeah. So it's quite a huge tour, let's say. So you cover all the Europe, mostly of all the Europe, basically.
Exactly, but but you can't cover all the cities in Europe in one tour. But so next tour, I hope we can make it more. So to cover Italy more.
Yeah, hopefully we have good, amazing theater hall here in Sicily. Would be beautiful. I mean, and maybe having Elisa too. People will love to hear that. We have one. I don't know if you have heard that. We have one of the biggest theater in Europe in Sicily. So that would be beautiful for seeing like SOEN playing there. That would be beautiful. There is an amazing sound. So that's beautiful. Who knows?
And I love Italy. That's just so. Who doesn't? But yeah.
Yeah, it's great, but it's bad for working. If you are not lucky to have some kind of luck, it's hard to people that took degrees or study a lot to find jobs, especially in the south. We have to go in the north or wherever in the world. But we try what we can, to just make survive music, especially the music scene. It's kind of resting, in the south. It's kind of sleeping. But I think because it's more
Yeah.
the youngest generation, or maybe more focused on social media stuff, and they forgot what does it mean to play guitar on the beach at the sunset, with friends, having fun. We forgot outdoors activities, basically. They forgot.
And I know metal is hard. It's hard to find to make a living in
exactly.
Italy.
But as well as an hobbyist, there are less bands than 10 years ago, for example. I mean, almost none. But I mean, just always speaking about going back to Memorial, what about the artwork of this album? Who took care?
It's the artwork is just basically an outlook in the future. It's a futuristic outlook of.
That's what's cool.
Of the 10 or 15 years when all this shit has been going on. It's very dark, but because of the conflicts, the wars and the climate crisis. So it's a bit like
look what is it,
it's a bad out.
Yeah.
But the message is basically, that we gotta stick together, like they do. This
we need to, with what's all going on in the world, we need to really stick together no matter what. Otherwise, I don't know what we're gonna face, but let's always be positive. And in your lives, do you always have, how do you pick up your own set list? I mean, it's kind of improvisation, or you have already a set list that it's like almost the same for every gigs?
I mean, there's a certain amount of songs that we really want to play, that we know that we're expected to play, and the idea, so there is some songs that we usually have there, and then we try to vary it with different songs. But usually when we go on tour, it's about the same songs that we play every night.
Yeah, of course, because people maybe that didn't make it to a gig and want to see the other gig say, why I didn't I heard the other song and I want to hear it in the other live. Yeah, and of course, so just of course, I mean, now you're going on tour. I don't think that you are already thinking to another album, or you start to recording about something new, because sometimes album is out,
no,
you're working on a new one. What is going on?
But this tour is, of course, going to be about Memorial. So it's going to be a lot of songs from Memorial.
So we can expect to see a lot of the songs from Memorial. Oh, that's cool.
No, it's written for live. It's that's what. So it's, that we wanted to really have an explosive album
So there would be maybe one day another live album.
With Memorial, I'm sure. Let's see.
Amazing.
But it's gonna be this tour is gonna be great. I'm looking forward to play the new songs.
We'll start the 20th of September.
Yeah.
Okay. Really, I hope to see you in Italy, of course, even if it's gonna be just one gigs or something, because the music is amazing that you all guys made. It's something really big.
Thank you.
It's not just some random. It's big and it's deep as well. And I wish you all the best for this tour, and maybe to see some live of album of Memorial, hopefully. Thank you.
I hope so.
Thanks for this interview. It was really a pleasure, Joel, and have a good day, rest of the day, and who knows, if you will end up to be in Italy, I will offer an espresso.
Yes, I would love that.
Okay.
And a small grappa.
Have a good rest of the day, Joe. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.